Hello everyone. So in today's video I'm going to go through a whole bunch of the books that I personally own. These are book recommendations. I had some people put in the comments of my last couple of videos about the things to do by yourself and what to do when you have no friends. So lots of people had really good ideas and suggestions about things to do, and somebody had asked, could you do a video on book recommendations? So that's what I'm going to do. Now I have a lot of them sitting out here. This is not even half of my collection. And a lot of these I'm going to focus on for this video are going to be some very vintage books, what I call the classics. And some of you may have read those when you were in high school. Some of you may not have read those. You might have read them later on in life. There are some that I have not gotten to yet, but I do have them, and yes, they are on my list to read, and then some of them might be a little bit newer as well. And what I'll try to do is make a list of them in the description below this video. That way you can go back and reference them without having to go through the whole entire video again. Because again, I'm going to kind of go through these quickly just because I do have so many of them. And again, if anybody has any ideas or suggestions for other books, please let me know in the comment section below. Now, one person did give me a really good suggestion for some vintage books, and it's the Lord Peter Wimsey, I believe. Is it Dorothy L. Parker? And I can't believe I haven't read those. So I have found a lot of them on eBay, and you can, of course, buy them on Amazon. So I'm actually going to go on the hunt at some used bookstores, probably up to St. Louis maybe, and see if I can't find the paperback versions there first, just because to me that'll be fun going to search for them versus just ordering them online. But they look really interesting, and so thank you to the person that put that suggestion out there. So let's get started. Now, I do have just a few poetry books here. The rest of them are going to be literature, novels. I have a couple of coffee table books and a few others as well. So this first one is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He's one of my favorite poets. This is the selected poems, if you can see that. Okay. So these are just random books I pick up at thrift stores, vintage shops. Some of them are really, really old. Some of them aren't that old. This one obviously is not that old, and it's in really good condition, but I do like Longfellow. I like his writings. So there's one poetry book. Another one that I really like is Percy Shelley. So there you go. And this one is actually just kind of cool because it's an older paperback, but I just like the front cover of it. So I picked this up. And I don't even know where I got this. This actually had been sold at a university bookstore. That's not where I got it. Obviously, I picked it up probably at some secondhand store. So it does have a little bit of scribble in some of the side margins. If you can see that there, which I think actually adds to the character of the book. So I do like reading Shelley. Another one of my favorite poets is E.E. Cummings, and I just have this little book to show you. I think I have another one around here somewhere, but I do have this one right here. And I think I picked this up on Amazon, but a very long time ago. And then another one that I really like is W.B. Yeats. So I have this lovely paperback version here. So I do like to read Yeats poetry. I also have Baudelaire, I have Robert Frost, I have Henry David Thoreau. So I have lots of different poetry books. I just wanted to show you just a small handful of some of them that I do have. And then, of course, getting into some of the classics now. And I have probably, I think I have Shakespeare's tragedies. I think I have one just Julius Caesar. I might have a couple of other ones, and sometimes I just pick them up because they're dirt cheap and they're really old and they've just got so much character, and I just love putting those on my bookshelves. And this one here, of course, is Tales from Shakespeare, and I love the color of this. It's like a drab olive green, okay? And this one has different stories in it. So this one has, for example, The Winter's Tale. Oh, and look, there goes Mozart. That's one of my cats, you guys. Say hi, Mo. He's going to be 16 this, I believe, October, and he acts like a 2-year-old. He's super healthy. The only thing is he can't hear that good anymore, but other than that, he's totally wild, unpredictable, loves to play. So that's Mozart. What else is in this book here? Much Ado About Nothing, Hamlet, Prince of Denmark. So just some different stories in this book. So Tales from Shakespeare. All right, now, if you're into Mark Twain, or you know anybody that is, that's always a good gift to give to somebody if you can find it. I think getting a vintage book to someone is like super cool, just because it's vintage. But that's just me personally. Some people can't stand that kind of stuff, but I love it. If people give me, not that anybody has, but recently, but in the past, if people gave me a vintage book, I just thought it was way cooler than getting a brand new one from the bookstore. So this one is Mark Twain's Best. And of course, I love Mark Twain. So it's just a little paperback book here. Okay. And then I have, what else do I have? I thought I had some more Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes, but I do have this one. This is one of my favorites, by the way, The Hound of the Baskervilles. This is a little mini paperback book. Isn't that cool? And it's in really good condition. Again, I probably found this at a thrift store for $1. So I do love anything from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes. Now, another one that's really good is Ken Follett, the Mondigliani scandal. That's always such a tongue twister for me. And this is actually a really good book. Now, I guess, I don't know if you call it a novel because it's not like really, really big. I don't even know what constitutes a novel. I don't really care. But this is a really good story. So if you're interested in anything by Ken Follett, this is a good option here to start with. What else do I have? That's really good. The House of the Seven Gables by Nathaniel Hawthorne. That one's really good. The smell coming from these books. If you're old school like me and you love books, I just love that smell. And then, of course, I have a very scandalous book. Oh, my God. Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence. This is really good. So there's a scintillating novel for you if you're into that kind of thing. And then another one that I don't have a lot of, but I did find this one on my bookshelf. And this is an old, tiny little paperback book, but this is The Scarlet Letters, Ellery Queen. I love Ellery Queen. Okay, there's that one. Let's see, what else do we have here that's a very, some of these are even older, of course. So, for example, now the book might not be that old, but the actual book itself, when it was written, and the author and all of that stuff is very old. But this one, of course, is one of the best classics out there, Great Expectations. Okay, so this, of course, is Charles Dickens, and he's the one that, if you watch anything with Scrooge, right, Charles Dickens. So again, oh God, that book smells so good. All right, another one that's really good. This one is Harper Lee, To Kill a Mockingbird, and I never read this when I was younger, and I bought it a couple of years ago. It's not been read yet, but it is on my list to read, and it's a very good book. So that's what I've heard. So that's another one that I enjoy. Not that I've read it yet, but I enjoy that I have it. And then, of course, ooh, yes, Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. And I just loved the artwork on the front page of this paperback book. Isn't that pretty? So, yeah. Do you have to be a younger person to read some of these books? No, you do not. I mean, this is probably considered more of a children's book, but it doesn't matter. I mean, one of my favorite shows is Watership Down. All right, so now this one is a very good book, and some of you will probably have heard of it because it was so popular. It hasn't been written that long ago, but it's Ragtime by E.L. Doctorow. And this is about life in America, okay, for what is it, Three Families? Yeah. So this right here I found at, I think I found it at the thrift store in town for like $1. And I was like, oh my gosh. So another really, really good book. And then here's a nice old one. This one is Hans Brinker by Mary Mapes Dodge. There we go. Isn't that artwork just cool? So this is actually sitting on one of my shelves in the kitchen because it just matches my kitchen style. And of course, this would be, it's Hans Brinker, or it's called The Silver Skates. And this is, of course, about what? Hansel and, Hans and his little sister Gretel. And then it takes place in the Netherlands. So yes, it's more of a younger person's book, but that doesn't mean we can't read it either. Again, these are good classic books. And then another one that's a great childhood classic is The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. There you go. So I picked this one up a couple of years ago. Now I've read this a long time ago, but of course I probably forgot about it. So I plan on rereading that again this summer. Okay. And it's been made into movie adaptations, and they're very good, of course. Now, for those of you that have been around long enough, and if you like things British, you've probably heard of James Herriot. I do have the third book sitting over there. I didn't pull it out, but I have, and that one is a hardcover book. These two are paperbacks, but this one is All Things Wise and Wonderful. Okay, and then the next one is Every Living Thing, and the other one is All Creatures Great and Small. And they have done British television shows from these books, so something to check out if you're interested in that. And then, of course, some other ones. Now, there is, I believe, 3 books in this series. I don't know why I only have 2. I think that's all they had at the thrift store when I picked them up at the time. But this author, she passed away, gosh, it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it's probably been, I don't know, 5-6 years. I'd have to look it up. But Madeleine L'Engle. And she wrote these books. And these are, young teenager books, I guess. And one of them is A Wrinkle in Time. And then the other one I have is A Wind in the Door. And I picked these up when I was still living in Wisconsin, because I was born and raised in Wisconsin, but I was living in Madison area, and they had a really kick-ass used bookstore there. And I picked up a lot of my Agatha Christie paperbacks there, and I picked up these 2 from that series from Madeleine L'Engle. The other one I have of hers is called The Young Unicorns. And these are, I don't know if you call them fantasy books. I'm not really, into fantasy sci-fi, but I think they're kind of, along the sci-fi thing there, but they're just so well written and so engrossing, and I couldn't put them down. And I did get them for my nieces for their birthdays, and they loved them as well. So again, A Wind in the Door and A Wrinkle in Time by Madeleine L'Engle. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Sarah Orne Jewett. Now, this is a very old book, not the book that I have, but it was written a long time ago. And this one is, of course, The Country of the Pointed Firs and Other Stories. She was a great author. And I found out about her. There was, I think, an excerpt of The Country of the Pointed Firs in my Victoria magazine. And I was like, oh, that sounds, really good. The part that I did read. So I went out and got the book. So I've had this book for years, and I always come back and read it every once in a while. Again, another one of my favorites is Aldo Leopold. Now, he was of course, born and raised in Wisconsin, right? And this one is a Sand County Almanac, and sketches here and there. And I love his writings. And there's a really good story about wolves in there, and how he used to hunt them and the day he stopped. And man, it gets me every time I read it, because I'm a huge wolf lover, wolf advocate, always have been for many, many years. And growing up in Wisconsin, it was one of those things that, you just knew about that kind of stuff. So again, a Sand County Almanac. This is a very good book. And then, of course, I can't have a library without F. Scott Fitzgerald. Love F. Scott Fitzgerald. And this is a really cool old paperback book. you know, The Great Gatsby. So people have seen this in the TV and movie versions. Obviously, it's a really good story, and the book, of course, is just as riveting, romantic, and heartbreaking at the same time. And then, of course, The Last Tycoon. This is just, you know, it's a newer hardback. It doesn't have the jacket on it anymore, but really, really good. And they did Ace. I think it was one season only, and it was I can't remember who picked it up. I don't know if it wasn't Amazon, was it? I don't remember. And it was Kelsey Grammer and who else was it? Not Matt Bomer, maybe it was, but Kelsey Grammer, whom I absolutely love. I mean, Frasier, one of my favorite shows. And it was so well done, but they cut production after a year. And the rumor that I heard was it was just so expensive to put on a production like that because of all the opulence of the era and everything that was, you know, part of this. But if you get a chance to check it out on TV, the one season that they did, it's actually pretty darn good. So there's that. And then now I can't find this other one, and I think it's called A Country Life. I don't remember, but I can't find it. I was trying to find it for this video, but I do have this one, and this one is by Michael Van Stappen, and it's called Northern Passages, Reflections from Lake Superior Country. So being born and raised in Wisconsin and having lived up in the North Woods, this was a book that I bought when I was living up there at the time in the Minocqua Woodruff area, and it's a wonderful read. So if anybody is interested in that stuff from the North Woods of Wisconsin, or even if you live like in northern Minnesota, Duluth area, it's just very good stories, and you'd be like, oh yeah, those things will be familiar to you. Okay, so there's that. Of course, can't leave out Agatha Christie. This is my favorite murder mystery author. Of course, I did not pull all my books down to show them all to you because I do have quite a few, but here's just a few of them. This one is A Holiday for Murder. This is one with Hercule Poirot as the detective. And then we have the Seven Dials mystery. Okay, this is a really, really good one. And I think, yeah, I don't think this one has any main characters in it per se, but it's really, really good. And of course, the television versions of these are exceptional as well. And then The Secret Adversary, and this one is Tommy and Tuppence. So this one is really good too. But I have a lot of them, and I don't have every single one of hers, obviously. And I could go out and I could buy the brand new ones, but I don't want to do that. I like to look for the vintage paperbacks. That's just me personally, what I like. Let's see here now. If you like to read stuff, well, everybody knows the movie Under the Tuscan Sun, right? And that was a book written by Frances Mays. I do have it sitting up there on the bookshelf. Really good book, really good movie. Diane Lane did an exceptional job in that movie. And I love Peter Mayle, and Peter Mayle passed away, I believe, in 2018 now. Gosh, it seems like it was just yesterday. And I think he was in his mid 80s or late 80s or something like that. Wonderful, wonderful writer, wonderful man. And he and his wife moved from England over to Provence, and they lived there for like 25 years. And he started writing about it. So this was like one of his first books, A Year in Provence. And I don't have all of his books, but I do have the ones where he talks about Provence. I have Toujours Provence. And the guy is a very witty writer. So these aren't like, oh, this is, you know, we moved here and this is what we're doing. He has such a knack for detail, and his wit is exceptional. And you just, for me personally, I get into reading his books, and I find that I can't put them down, and I like to reread them again. And this one is Encore Provence. Okay. And the last book, it got published, I believe I think he finished it, and it might have been published posthumously, but my 25 Years in Provence, and I have that, and I just finished that in March. I finally took it off the bookshelf and read it because I felt I was ready to, because I was so sad when he passed away. And just really, really good books. But that's not all he did. He did a bunch of, well, okay, if you've seen the movie, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and it's with Russell Crowe, it's called A Good Year. Peter Mayle wrote that. So if you know that movie, Peter Mayle was the author. The book is just as good as the movie. There's a few little differences in it, obviously, but an amazing, amazing book. Really, really good movie. I actually have it on DVD. But he wrote a lot of caper books. So I have one here. It's called A Diamond Caper. And there's a bunch of them out there that he wrote besides just this one here. He also wrote, I believe, A Dog's Life. What else? Yeah, so here's some of the other books that he wrote that are like these capers, or if you will. Anything Considered, Chasing Cezanne, The Corsican Caper, A Dog's Life, French Lessons. I do have that one. A Good Year. Hotel Pastis, The Marseille Caper, Provence A to Z, The Vintage Caper, which is, this is the Diamond Caper, the Vintage Caper, and then, of course, his Provence books. So Peter Mayle, exceptional author, really great guy, and very humorous. So you might enjoy those. And then I have this one here. Now, this is just fun because I like to watch birds, and most of them around here I know. But if you go to different states, you might see some different birds sometimes too, right? And I could go out and buy a brand new book on this, but I found this and I love it. Isn't that cool? A field guide to birds. And it's got, look at the pictures in here. Isn't that just the coolest thing ever? It's just such a great bird guide. So it's got the bigger birds, and it's got, of course, the birds that we see out in our backyard and that we might feed and things like that. So that's, if you like to go bird watching, or you just want to learn about the birds in your backyard, pick yourself up a little field guide to birds. And if you can find one secondhand, even better. And then we have a couple of coffee table books. Now, I have, what is it? 101 Cataclysms and Smitten. And those are photography books of cats, and they're by the photographer Rachel Hale. I also have this one, and this is called The French Cat. This is one of my favorite coffee table books. This woman is an absolute amazing photographer, and she went over to France, and she decided that she was going to get pictures of cats. And God, some of these pictures, and she talks about sometimes how long it took her to actually get those pictures, right? She's so good at capturing them. Look at the pictures in here, you guys. It's just beautiful, isn't it? So yeah, and then she puts, she puts little notations in there. Every once in a while, she'll throw in a poem, and she picks, look at that. I was going to show this to you. Isn't that cool? If you can see that. The kitty. So just lots of really cool pictures in this book. And that's another reason why I love Baudelaire. Now, I knew about Baudelaire. I just never really read a lot of his poetry. And then I came across this book, right? The French Cat by Rachel Hale. And she talks about Baudelaire in here. And this page, of course, is the same as the front cover of the book. It's one of my favorite pictures of that beautiful cat sitting in that beautiful, comfy, overstuffed chair, right? So she puts a little excerpt of one of his poems, and it's in my poetry book by Baudelaire. And I'm just going to read that to you real quick. Now, this is not the whole poem. This is just 4 lines of it. When my fingers leisurely caress you, your head and your elastic back, and when my hand tingles with the pleasure of feeling your electric body. And Charles Baudelaire absolutely loved cats. So I just think that's totally cool. All right, so there you go. There's that. And then this one here is fairly new. Of course, this one isn't anything that's, been out for years and years and years. But this is Louis Wain. Now, there was a movie, The Electrical Life of Louis Wain, and Benedict Cumberbatch starred in that movie. And if you have not seen it, go see it. Go watch it. It's a very good movie. And I had to buy this book. And Louis Wain was an exceptional artist. I mean, some of the stuff he did with his portraiture and how he drew cats is mind-blowingly good. So again, Louis Wain's Cats, and the movie was The Electrical Life of Louis Wain. So there you go. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, and I am going to mention this now, some of you are into this, some of you aren't, does not matter, this is just me sharing, would be, of course, the Bible. All right, so the Holy Bible. So that's always a good read, something to have in your repertoire if that's something that you're into. No judgment, no meanness, no nothing. I don't care what you do, what you like to read. This was just people asking me to share and give book recommendations. So if you want more recommendations, I can pull out more books and I can talk about other things as well. I can do a part 2 video, but that's it for now. That'll give you a lot of ideas. Please share your recommendations in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want a second part of this video. And don't forget to hit subscribe to my channel and click the little bell notification for getting notified of new videos. Don't forget to like this video as well. And that's all she wrote, folks. Thank you so much for watching. You guys take care. I appreciate it very much. We'll talk soon. Bye.